Not all. What is Kabbalah? Kabbalah, some people mistakenly, with misunderstanding, and really making many hundreds and thousands of people around the world be completely mistaken and way off the track, translates Kabbalah only as receiving. We came to this world only for pleasures, and we're going to receive, whether it's spiritual or physical or emotional, makes no difference. And we are the great receivers. That's only one spot within Kabbalah. The real translation of Kabbalah in Hebrew means we have received it by tradition. Where did he receive it from? We received it through Abraham, our forefather, then down through Isaac, down through Jacob. And that is definitely a Jewish tradition that was handed down. And it does not come only in the form of how do I get out of all my pleasures, and how do I say pause and observe, or how do I say pause and what a pleasure. It's only one small dot within your character. Every individual on this earth, whatever the religion are obligated in 7 Noahide laws. And these are not to steal, not to kill, not to be adulterous, keep the laws of the country, do not take alive any part of a living creature, and along those lines. And somebody who's Jewish is connected to God in 613 different mitzvot commandments, and this is his great obligation. Within those, there are a few, 6 or 10, that pertain to the different kind of attributes that definitely we came to this world to correct, to rectify. But we have to understand that Kabbalah therefore means 2 major things. One is to receive the right things, the appropriate things, and not what I feel like, which is in my comfort zone, even if it's inappropriate, whether it's through the inappropriate way or appropriate thing to do. But the greatest thing is we received it all the way from our forefathers, all the way till now, through Moses. To say that somebody like Jesus was a Kabbalist is completely taking all of you off track. He wasn't a Kabbalist, and that's in many of my YouTubes. He was completely out of faith of being Jewish, and he went against the will of God, because God does not change, as we know. I am what I am, I will be. And therefore, somebody like Jesus, they took away circumcision. They took away the Holy Sabbath. They took away the laws of keeping kosher, such as eating pork, and allowed it to all people around. That's against the will of God directly. And therefore, wonderful. Such a person cannot be an agent of God. So there are many communities around the States, Christian communities and Noahide law-keeping communities, they do very much keep the Sabbath. They do very much keep away from pork and shrimps and all of that according to the Torah. God does not change his mind. The first Old Testament is the only testament. Anyone that came and gave some cheap imitation, fake of something else, that's a fake. Because the New Testament that was written 150 years later than Jesus, when he wrote nothing and somebody came with Holy Spirit and wrote word for word what Jesus said 150 years before, where there were scripts available, come on. If you heard about it today, you will feel so delusional. You will feel really, anybody selling me this kind of thing, I mean, I don't buy this. It's a marketing gig. It's not going to work. So you have to be wiser than this. If somebody came today and told you, your wife came and told you that she fell pregnant from God, you will send it to a DNA test and find which neighbor it was. So all these beautiful stories that people tell you, I think you're much wiser than this. And amongst you, there are so many people that are graduates and postgraduates that are so much wiser. So why do you buy this? Because you're looking for faith. Yes, we all look for faith. So quantum physics today proves that there's one God. There's a monotheism around the world, and this God is infinite. He does not need any agent. He doesn't need me. He doesn't need anyone. He decides when to deliver, and the only time that he ever spoke in front of 3 million people was in front of Moses on Mount Sinai, where 3 million people heard it. That's why God sent Moses down. I don't want you to be here. I want everyone to listen. But any other kind of faith, whether it's Islam or Buddhism, Christianity, which depends on one man's show, whether they believe what they believe seriously, or whether they forfeited what they really do believe, right? And we see many times around the world the results of crusades, of jihads, which means a crusade of some kind of a winning, conquering war that killed millions of people around the world, all the way from China till Pearl Harbor. All of those, these cannot be faith that was handed down by God, as we see till today, as we see today, when in the 52 years after Munich, right, the Israeli consulate in Germany was under attack. So how can you have any kind of a religion which decides to do these kind of things in the name of God and shout Allah Akbar or crusades or anything else? So therefore, you're all wise people and you're all good people. And I respect and love each and every one of you. But you have to sit down with yourself and rethink about everything, and don't let somebody, a cheap salesman, sell you that Kabbalah means just to work at your attributes, which is a great thing. But that's not the only thing. There are so many connections, there's so many commandments that God commanded us, especially the 10 commandments. No human being can forfeit and say, well, that doesn't work for me. I only wish to work between man and his fellow. No, there's also between man and his God, because the whole point of the Torah is for you to build a temple within yourself for God to reside over there. And that cannot be just being a nice guy. That cannot be just by being pause, observe, or what a pleasure. It has to be much more than this, by keeping the commandments of God, which are against your nature, which are difficult, which are challenging, which take you out of your comfort zone, but they are very necessary, such as honoring your parents, such as not to lie, just not to give a false evidence, etc. God bless you all. I mean well, and I mean with love, and there's no cynicism and no criticism, but just to tell you the truth. And we have very solid proof for 2,000 years and more in the Talmud that every word I said here is exactly the right thing, because people were there when Jesus started, because people were there some 1,300 years ago when Muhammad started the Islam, because Abraham sent his children to the east, and as we know in the Talmud, he gave them all kinds of names which come from the impurity. He never shared with them Kabbalah. None of them learned Kabbalah. None of them know the essence. And somebody is telling you that this is a universal thing for everyone, they are lying to you. Yes, certain parts can be learned for everyone, and we welcome everyone. But to tell you that it's for everyone, it's universal technology, that's a big, big lie and a misconception completely, and you go astray. No, it's not meant for everyone. It's part of the Jewish religion. In the Jewish religion, there are 4 parts, which is the simple pshat, the simple understanding. Then there's the deeper understanding, which is called the remez, which is grammatical and numerical, different kind of understanding. Then there is a deeper level, which is the drash, which means through the Talmud, and different kind of elucidations and writings that were written over 2,000 years ago. And then comes the Kabbalah. But if you only learn Kabbalah, it depends on that, you miss all the point and all the boat. It's like drinking wine, just wine. And that's your morning, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that's not the true Kabbalah either. It's just a small part which people want to mass market to you because it makes sense to you, but that's not the whole truth. God bless you all. If you have any questions which are appropriate and positive, please DM me.